Hi, thank you for listening. This is Sherry Andrea, and I appreciate you. This is another channeling that I would like to offer. If you didn't know, all of the videos that I do, they are channelings from my higher self. I am a higher self channel. I normally don't put that in my videos. We just do the videos. We just do the videos and we do the discussions. As always, as you know, the message is more important than anything else, than where it comes from, how it comes, who it comes through. So that's the reason why, because nothing is more important than what is being discussed. Today, what we're going to be discussing is about doing the work when it comes to advancing spiritually, even if we're talking about metaphysical work. Maybe you're working towards enlightenment. Maybe you're working on self-realization. There's work to be done. Now, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is every now and then, well, actually, probably often, I get a question like, because I do attunements, I'll get a question such as, I'll give you an example of one I got the other day. It's related to inner child work, and wanting to know if there's an attunement that would help with inner child work. That's kind of a tough question to answer. The reason why is because it's kind of a yes and a no at the same time. What I mean by that is that, yes, there may be an attunement out there that may be geared towards working on the inner child, just like there's attunements out there that are geared towards various chakras or psychic development, or one that I recently put on my website that's geared towards dental issues. I'm sure there's ones out there that are geared towards people who suffer from depression, anxiety, migraines. I'm sure there's attunements for everything. But the question of, can I get an attunement that would help me do this work? The answer is yes, there's probably an attunement out there that's geared towards it. But no, it's really not going to make the work that you have to do any easier. You still have that work to do. Nothing replaces the work you have to do. For example, if I'm working on an issue from my past that I'm stuck on, let's say something that happened in my past. Let's say I was in the middle of an argument with my parents and they threw something out there at me, and they said something really cruel and hurtful, and it stuck with me for years. Maybe 20 years later, I could still hear them saying that to me in my mind, and it still hurts me all over again. And I want to work on that because I want to finally be able to move on from it. Well, for me to ask, is there an attunement that would help me with that? Yes, there may be an attunement that may help in the way of, maybe it'll bring something to the surface. Maybe it'll help bring something to the surface that I need to see about it. But will it actually do the work, get it done for me? No. And I think most of you do know that. No, it's not going to make it any easier, but it may help shift some things. It may help bring some things to the surface. But the reality is nothing replaces that hard work that you need to do. So, for example, all those days of sitting and pondering that thing that happened in the past, looking at it from various perspectives, your perspective, the other people involved, their perspectives, flipping it around continually, day after day after day after day. until you finally think that you have seen and discovered everything there is that can be seen about that situation. Or until you have, that light bulb moment where in flipping it around, you realize something that you never realized before. Maybe you replay it and you recall something that was said that you just simply had never paid attention to before, because you were so focused on that one thing that was said that hurt you so bad that you didn't focus as intently on other things that were said. Other things that were said. Even beyond that, looks. Maybe you also didn't focus on a look. How did the person, as you were having this back and forth with them, and maybe you said something, maybe there was a certain look they got on their face, but you didn't really over the years pay attention to it because you were so focused on that one thing that affected you, that hurt you, that you didn't look at much else. Work like this, a self-discovery type of work, it takes a while. And it doesn't happen without you literally sitting down and taking that time to think about it, flip it over in your mind, ponder it, replay it, journal on it, re-talk about it out loud, not to someone else, but just simply in a room alone to yourself. All of that takes time. There is nothing that's going to make short work of what you have to do. And the sooner you get to it, the sooner you go ahead and you sit down and start doing this work, the sooner you will get on with it, the sooner you'll get down the road. I know many of you, in a day often realize how much work you have to do. Sometimes what happens is you read a book, and after reading the book was really great. It was insightful. But at the same time, it was kind of a letdown, because in reading it, maybe you realize how much work you have to do, how much further you have to go. Don't feel bad. That used to happen to me too. Sometimes you feel like you're ready for something. You're like, you get a book, you go to the bookstore and you get a book and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this book. This book is supposed to be, about karma in depth. And you get it. And after reading it, you're really glad that you learned the things that you did, but at the same time, it can be a little depressing to you because you're like, I've got so much further to go. Because everything this book says I should eventually be able to do, I'm nowhere near there yet. And it can be a little bit depressing, a little bit of a letdown. But try not to do that. Try not to let it depress you. Try to not think that way, because literally today you may feel that way, and 2 years from now you look back and you're like, wow, look how far I've come. And the 2 years won't seem like such a long time. But nothing really makes short of the work you have to do. Really, the only thing about self-work is figuring out how you're going to go about doing it. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to simply get on the internet and start researching. It also helps if you listen to videos like this one about various topics. Like, for example, if your issue is that in your past you suffered abuse, and this is what you're having a hard time recovering from, resolving and moving on from, there are plenty of people out there who are on a spiritual path who have dealt with and resolved the same thing you have to deal with. You just have to find them. And sometimes you just simply need to ask your higher self, guide me. Ask. I need to be guided to the answers that I need to um, how I can do this work, and trust that guidance. Go to a bookstore, but first, before you go, ask that when you go, you be guided to certain information. And then when you go in there in a more meditative state. As you walk down the aisles, slowly glancing at the books, not really taking any out, but kind of slowly go down the aisles, glancing until intuitively you feel like your eyes have hit on one that made you feel something. And then take it out. Look to see what it is. Let your higher self try to guide you. Or you could run your hands along the book slowly. I used to do that. And I'd wait to kind of feel a little tingling energy in my hand when I hit on the book that was the one that I needed. That actually never failed me. I was actually always guided to books that I not only needed, but I was ready for. And that had information in them that I was actually looking for. Make sure you're reading enough every day. Whether it's channeled messages like Cryon, videos like from Muji, websites like Osho Teachings, various things, or so many. Some people find Esther Hicks helpful. Read until you find, maybe either the author or the channeler who seems to resonate with you. And then keep reading every day. Now, some of you might say, you try, but you're just like, you almost feel like you're having to force yourself to read. Okay, so right now it might not be reading. Right now it might be listening. Okay, so there is enough on YouTube that you should be able to listen. A lot of us have the Android cell phones where we can pull up YouTube on them. Take advantage of that. If you're in your car, if you normally listen to music or the radio, don't. Instead, find something on your cell phone, on YouTube to listen to. Make good use of your time. And then don't forget to meditate. If you're not sure of what work you need to do, what do you need to work on? Look at the things that are going on in your own life. What's going on around you? What situations happened today? Did you go in the grocery store and, the cashier gave you a hard time? What does that point to that you need to work on? Like, how did it affect you? How did you react to it? What did you notice about the situation? What is it pointing at that you need to work on? Was it something playing out to you because it's something you need to work on? Because sometimes people are being used. What I mean by that is that cashier and how she dealt with you, how she reacted to you, she may have been being used to give you that heads up, to poke at you. Maybe before you came through her line, maybe she was just fine. Maybe her attitude was just fine. Maybe her day had been going just fine. And then here you come. And guess what? The angels and the ascended masters and your higher self needed you to get help. Needed something to be pointed out to you. Okay, we can use her, the cashier, to help point something out to you. That's what they say. We're going to use her just for a moment. We're going to flip a switch. And when you go through her line, we're going to just flip a switch. She's not going to know why. But now all of a sudden, she's going to give you a hard time, going to give you attitude. Did you ever stop to think that sometimes people aren't just mean and nasty. Sometimes they're being used to help you. Now, I know it's kind of hard because often we walk away from those situations going, what a witch. Can't believe it. And we're so focused on that person's behavior that we usually don't stop to think maybe that person was being used to give us that little lesson or that little heads up. Hey, this is something you need to work on. I mean, think about it. How many times have you thought that? Ever? Ever? Honestly, ever? But honestly, it does happen that way sometimes. Sometimes people are used to give us that heads up we need. Maybe you had already asked, and within the last couple of days, you'd already said, God, I need help. I don't know what I need to work on. God said, okay, I'm going to help you out. You need help. You want to know what you need to work on. And so it's orchestrated for you. But it requires us to be open, aware, paying attention. It requires us to, when we start to react, to stop ourselves, to say, wait, before I react and I just get pissed off, could this be telling me something else? Could this be trying to show me something? And if so, what? This really requires you to let go of your need to react and be mad about something. It requires you to let go of your need to be right about something. You to be right about something and the person to be wrong about something. It requires you to take that step back, sit down, and just be the witness and just look, observe, pick it apart. What's going on with this? Instead of just simply reacting and being upset. So don't worry if you're not quite sure what you need to work on. It will come to you if you ask. Sometimes it's just that simple. We forget to ask for help. Something that I used to do all the time. I did it once at least, and once is all you need to do it if it works. I asked if my lessons could be brought to me faster, and if they could be brought to me just like one right after the other, like just keep them coming, because I want to get some of these lessons I have to get done. I want to get some of them out of the way. And I basically promised, I said, I'll pay attention. I'll do the work. And and I won't waste time. If you just keep bringing these lessons up, one right after the other. As soon as I knock one out, bring another one up. And in fact, that did work. For quite a few years, that is how my life went. Lesson after lesson after lesson came up. Okay, it's pretty calm now. I went through a lot of them within a few years. I mean, a lot. So now, I'm living what I would consider to be a fairly calm existence. So now it's like, yeah, things pop up here and there. But for the most part, compared to how it was, my life is pretty calm and pretty peaceful. But I had to work to get to that point. So there was quite a few years where there was a lot of working. There was this nonstop working at it, nonstop. Every waking moment, there was something that I was seeing, noticing, that I was pondering. So don't forget to ask for that help. Ask to be moved in the right direction. Ask for those lessons to come up. Ask to be shown in some way, for light to be put on what you need to most pay attention to. And then pay attention. What do you notice? What happened? With everything that happens, if you remember to ask that question, okay, what does this point to that maybe I need to work on? Then you'll be sure that you won't miss these things. But just the fact of the matter is, the most important thing that I have to tell you is there's no easy way. Yeah, there are things that can help. Maybe not help make it easier, but maybe, like, for example, if you are working on yourself and you don't know what to work on, maybe something that'll help bring it to the surface. Like, for example, that's what chakra work does. Chakra work isn't solely for the purpose of clearing you. Yes, it clears you, but what it does is whatever issue is going on with that chakra that has caused the imbalance or the blockage, when you clear it, what it does is it brings up to the surface whatever needs to be worked on that caused the chakra to go out of balance. So when you do chakra work, it needs to be followed by a paying attention to what you notice. Like, for example, did you do chakra work and then within the next couple of weeks you noticed you are easily agitated? Well, pay attention to that. What agitated you? How was your reaction? Well, you should notice maybe certain things agitated you. Not everything, but maybe certain things. What were they? And now what's that pointing to? But chakra work isn't like uneventful. It's not something that you do and it's like, great, now I'm clear. No, it leads to something. One, it leads to an advancement. You don't do chakra work without eventually moving up a level, without raising up a level. And in the process of raising up a level, there are some things that have to be worked on and resolved. So that's where it brings something to the surface. And if you pay attention and notice it and work on it, then you get that advancing to the next level, which means you're going to experience an energy shift. I'm not going to talk about the energy shifts right now, but I'll just say that generally during those energy shifts is where you normally hear people say, I feel like I'm not on. I feel like I've lost my connection to my guides and my higher self. I just feel like no one's there. Like I don't feel any spirits. I don't feel any, energy coming from my guides. What I normally feel, what I normally experience, how I can normally sense people, I'm not feeling that. Usually during an energy shift, that is what happens. Why? Because you're moving to another level. And on another vibratory level, that energy and how you experience everything, of course, feels different. So you're not going to feel it. You're not going to be affected by it in the same exact way. Let me see if I can give you an example of what I mean. Okay. Let's say, for example, you open one of your kitchen cabinets to get a spice out, let's say pepper. And you always keep the pepper in the same place, basically. We always do that. Same place, same shelf, same area of the cabinet, right? But let's say you have a new roommate, and this new roommate, they like things in a certain way. And you've already told them, any little adjustments you want to make, you could feel free to make them. I don't mind. I'm very easygoing. I go with the flow very easily. You go to cook and you open the cabinet and you go to reach for the pepper, but the pepper's not there. You're like, oh crap, where's the pepper? Well, your new roommate likes it better on the second shelf. Let's say maybe your new roommate is taller than you. Their line of sight is better with the second shelf. I know that's a ridiculous example, but let's go with the flow. So maybe their line of sight is better on the second shelf. So they decided they'd rather have the salt and the pepper and some of the spices they commonly use on the second shelf. Well, now you have to get used to the pepper being in a new place. Because, like you said, it's okay with you because you're very go with the flow. So you're not going to move it back. You're like, oh yeah, that's okay. They like it better there. What do I care? But now you have to get used to it being on the second shelf. It's going to take you a little while, right? Because now that next time you go to cook, again, you open the cabinet and you instinctively go to reach for it on the first shelf. Because for such a long time, you were used to it being on the first shelf. And then you go, you remember, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. We're keeping it on the second shelf now. And you grab it. Third day you go to cook. Again, you open the cabinet. And what do? Instinctively, you reach for it on the first shelf. And yeah, that's right. It's not there. Remember, it's on the second shelf now. Now, I'm sure you see where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is there's a certain time period that it takes for you to adjust. Eventually, you're going to get so used to it that it's on the second shelf that you're going to stop reaching for it on the first shelf. And now you're going to be so used to it being on the second shelf that you're going to instinctively reach for it on the second shelf. And now we've arrived. We are now out of that period of time where we're going through the energy shift. Okay, now we've completed the transition. We've arrived. Because now we're opening the cabinet and instinctively reaching to the second shelf. That's basically your energy shift. You're at a new level. Speaking of vibrations, you're at a new vibratory level. And at that new vibratory level, things are slightly different. Where you energetically reach out for things is in a different place. How they energetically feel is slightly different as well. It takes a certain period of time until you adjust and you start feeling them at this new level and in this new way they feel. It takes a little bit of time. And in the meantime, literally, while you're going through it, you will sometimes kind of feel a little bit of an emptiness, like, I don't feel on. I don't feel like there's anything around me. I don't feel like I can energetically feel anything around me. Where'd everything go? What's going on? I feel like I've been turned off. Don't panic. That's what most people often do. The first couple of times they experience going through a major energy shift, usually there's a little panicking because they literally kind of feel like they've lost it. Like, oh my goodness, my abilities suddenly just aren't working. For some reason, I'm not hearing or feeling, my guides or the angels or ascended masters. Did everybody just leave me? There is a little bit of a panicking going on the first couple of major energy shifts you go through. And even though I'm saying this, I guarantee you the next major energy shift you go through, you will have forgotten. And you will have quite a few days of freaking out and going, what is going on? What has happened? Before the light bulb goes off and you remember, oh, wait a minute. Energy shift. Often, and it's funny, we often don't remember. Same thing with chakra work. We do chakra work. Maybe we do some major chakra work on ourselves. And then for the next few weeks, we're feeling really easily agitated. We're very emotional. And guess what? We usually always forget about that chakra work we did. That is the cause of it. Usually we go through, maybe a week or two of, huge emotional ups and downs and, being easily agitated before we finally remember. We've cursed some people out before we finally remember. This is just the way it usually happens. Some people are a little bit better at remembering these things than others, but for most of us, we forget. We forget, and we have a couple of, a week or two, a panicky week or two, and before we remember. But anyway, just to summarize, you can look for ways to help you with the work that you have to do, methods, techniques, attunements, but just remember, they may help you a little bit, but they're not going to replace that work you have to do. So just be willing to do the hard work, whether that's just simply journaling every day, sitting quietly in a relaxing way, just quietly, and waiting for something to come to mind. And you might notice that what comes to mind is an old childhood friend, someone you used to know in high school, someone you worked with in your, early 20s, somebody you haven't thought about in a while may just suddenly pop into your head. These things happen for a reason. They're usually pointing us towards something we need to work on, something that's still left out there that needs to be kind of resolved and put to bed. Or maybe it's a dream. Sometimes in our dreams, we're taken back, or we're told that we need to go back. Sometimes in a dream, for example, we see a house we used to live in our dream. This dream is speaking about the past. And then other symbols in the dream will clue us into more specifically what it's trying to tell us. So sometimes your dreams will clue you in on what you need to work on. Sometimes it's issues other people that are around you bring to you. Sometimes it's issues other people are going through that you are lucky enough to witness them. Just watch them. Because sometimes issues other people are going through where you get to just be the witness and see them reacting a certain way or handling it a certain way, and it has you sitting there going, wow, I do that. But now I'm looking at it, looking from the outside in, I'm realizing, hey, I do that, and I need to work on that. So yeah, there's no shortcuts for the work you need to do. Don't worry about it. You'll be able to handle it. You'll be able to get through it. Just simply ask for help. I mean, that's it. Just ask for help. Maybe days and days and days in a row, you'll ask for help. But be self-assured that help will come. It's just that sometimes it comes when you least expect it and from a place you least expect it to come from. Just be paying attention. Keep your eyes open. But just be willing to do the work and not just look for a magic cure. That's what I don't want you to look for. Don't look for a magic cure. Don't look for a magic way. Because if it was that easy, we'd all be doing it that way. And that's what I always said about psychic development. If it was as easy as getting some attunement to then become psychic, we'd all be psychic. If it was that simple. But it's not. It requires a lot of work on our part. But it's worth it in the end for what it is we end up getting, for the benefit we end up getting. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Make sure to take it easy. Be kind to yourself and others. And I look forward to speaking with you again. Namaste.